It's what's it? Wednesday afternoon, about 4 o'clock here in Manila. We're looking at very changeable weathers at the moment. You can probably make it out there. It's quite grey. Looks like an awful lot of rain's going to come, and the forecast for this week is actually thunderstorms and the rest of it. So I'm standing here on the top floor. It's kind of an open area, open deck of Dunkin' Donuts, and it's nice. I mean, it's noisy because you've got the cars, the main roads here, like I said there, and there's a petrol station, there's a pickup coffee there, but this is Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm literally just around the corner. I live around the corner with a shopping centre, 5 minutes walk in that direction as well, so it's a perfect scenario. So I was watching some programs actually online while I was editing. It's like Richard Wolff, and he's like a professor of economics, and he talks a lot about how the impact of Trump's tariffs and basically the water effect that it's going to have rushing down to all the other economies, other countries taking a hit, and coming back to the USA now. We're finding all of the big US companies like Starbucks and Stellantis and who else? Or John Deere, who makes the big tractors, even Tesla, Ford's, and a lot of these big companies are just leaving the US because basically they cannot deal with the tariffs that they're being hit with. And let me explain. People get mixed up with this. Tariffs are, if you create a tariff in your country, you're effectively saying to the provider from another country, say China, that when their item comes in to the US, that it's not you who are going to pay for it, i.e. China. It's going to be the buyers on the American side. They get hit with that extra 20, 30, 40% charge. So Trump doesn't seem to have this understanding of economics. He thinks China is going to be hit by that cost. He believes they're going to be the receiver of that problem. It's not. And a lot of people have been interviewed in the streets in America, even small business guys, and none of them even seem to appreciate tariffs does not work for you in your country. It may have some effects, but it does not. Effectively, it affects you as the person who's the receiver, who then has to pay more for the goods that's incoming. I don't know what it is and why they don't get that one, but it's just stupid. So everything that's coming in is charged, and everything that's received by China or England or any other country that the tariffs have been set up here, they have to pay on the receiving end. So it's the reverse of that. Yeah, so as a receiver, you pay the taxes, or you pay for that product being a higher cost. And where does that money goes? That money goes to the government, because the government reaps that stroke value added tax on the products, which is i.e. called tariffs, and the government makes a profit from that money, which you're paying more for, right, to buy. So if you want to buy a car for $200,000 and it comes into the US, you're now having to pay, say it's 100%, you're having to pay double that money for that car, because the government levies 100% on that price you bought it for. How the hell does that not sink in? Anyway, so the farmers all over Nebraska and Texas and all those red states are suffering because these tariffs are clobbering them, which means because they're sending the tariffs here, when it goes to other countries like China, Brazil, wherever, they're having to take on the cost of receiving it, which makes the products that they're selling, the soya beans, the beef, whatever it is from the US, is whatever additional price when they're buying it in those countries, which makes it less viable. which makes it uncompetitive. And this is where it seems to me nobody's getting this clear. But as it digs deeper and deeper into their economy, where people cannot pay these things, and you're going to find, as we can see now in the US and UK, in fact, that to buy the simplest basic things, loo rolls, vegetables, milk, cheese, eggs, you're screwed. Especially if it's coming in, right? If it's made in your own country, yeah, but you're still paying taxes on those because why? Because the products you need to grow these things, to provide resources for the animals, or for the land, or for the tractors that harvest it, all of these products, one way or another, comes from abroad, comes from Mexico, comes from Canada, comes from the UK, comes from China, comes from Asia. So you're actually, without knowingly knowing this, as an American or a British or a French or whatever, if your products are not made completely 100% designed, produced, materialized in that country, in your country, you're paying for the parts, for the materials, for the ingredients, for the accessories that comes to complete your product. So like for America, the American cars, they're assembled in Mexico, right? And they're then imported into America, which means they're being taxed as a foreign car, even though they're American manufacturers, regardless of whether it is American or not. Just because it's outside of the country, in other words, produced or assembled and then brought back in, it's just a nightmare. So this guy Richard Fox is saying we're at the point now where there's going to be a revolution. There's going to be the MAGAs are already feeling it. These are the groups that believe they're better than everybody else. They have special rights. It wasn't going to affect them because they believe all this was going to just have a knock-on effect on the immigrants, the minorities, the blacks, the Latinos, and now they're saying it is not the case. They're the ones suffering, and they're pulling their hairs out about it. But what can I say? With stupidity comes stupid. When you make stupid games, you get stupid results, right? And I don't know. I mean, it's just, what can you say? It's just a matter of time before the shit really hits the fan, and people are going to step outside of that what's called democracy rules, following guidelines of normal social boundaries, and they're going to go, fuck this, we need to do something. And there's going to be an uproar. There's going to be people, I reckon, be fighting in the streets. There's going to be God forbid, murders, robberies. There's going to be even people doing suicidal things because they don't know a way out. They got children, they got family, they can't feed them, they can't harvest their products, they can't survive on a daily basis with basic stuff. They're going to be pushed, that's called being pushed to the end. And that people, when your back's against the walls, you ain't going to give a shit about what the consequences. So guys, I don't know where you are, but I'm glad I'm here in the Philippines so far. I've been here 2 years. It's enjoyable. You know, there are moments when I think, you know, I made the best choice. I've been to other countries. I lived in China for 15 years on and off. Had a business there. Was married there as well. Spent some time in Australia, in Ukraine for 6 months. Whereas Hong Kong, Australia. So yeah, I mean, it's like, there's nothing like traveling and having that freedom of choice and not be bound by the bloody governing bodies like these arsehole politicians and rules and legislation that you have no control over. All right, you come here, you have to abide by the rules there. But you know what? If you don't like it, you go somewhere else. You spend a bit of time here. You don't have to spend your whole life here. If you like it, you have a relationship, you find an apartment, so great. You can still, you have choices. You make steps that suits you. You take action for things that's going to be best represented by your actions and what you want in life. your requirements. What can I say? And as long as I have the freedom and I got mobility and I can walk around, I can do my exercises, eat reasonably well without the cost, of course. I'm not spending the money I do in the UK. If I was renting an apartment in the UK, you'd be looking at over 1,000 for a single bedroom, small bedroom, and you've got to be looking at somewhere way out of London, maybe in the counties or something like that. And you're paying, that's just for the rent. Then you've got the electricity, you've got all the bills, you've got the food, which is crazy. There is no really positive feeling about living in the West. And I've been here, say, nearly 2 years now. I'm going to renew my visa in 6 months. Hang on, no, in 20 days' time, and hopefully another 6 months. But I'm going to continue to stay here as long as I possibly can, and look at my options still, and have the money that I've got, like pensions and a few other small things like small business do, and I will just make it work. And if you budget smart, if you're fiscally clever and intelligent, you can have a pretty good life without living like a bum, without living on such a tight budget. But you need to have a budget. You need to have something that's a guideline, that's a framework, that you don't just go stupid like some people do here. And a lot of them foreigners come here to do. They end up living on the streets like a Filipino. It's like you come to the Philippines and you end up being a tramp or a lost cause. Something's wrong there. So anyway, guys, I ranted on a bit, but I just wanted you to see that even in the Philippines we have bad weather, but you know what? It's still warm. I'm standing here. Look, I've got my t-shirt on. Perfect. And I can walk downstairs, get myself a coffee, have some Dunkin' Donuts. I'm going to finish mine now. Enjoy the rest of the day. So be good. If not, be very bad. Take care.